Oh my gosh, no. So it's funny because this episode is in honor of Love Month, and I feel like whenever we talk about the month of February, we always connect it to romance. It's always from a romance aspect. It's never about like a friendship thing. It's like I feel like outside of romance, there's also the platonic relationships that we don't talk about, and I think that it's just important for us to discuss, what type of, person that we are. Loving is not just loving other people, but also yourself. And I think that before you're able to even invest in other people, whether it be on a romance level, whether it be on a platonic level, I think that the self-love comes first. The just you investing that time into yourself. Character evaluations. I mean, like you think about every year a company does a evaluation on an employee. They're pretty much letting you know what happened throughout the year. They're telling you about these type of characteristics or these certain behaviors that they saw, what they liked about your work, what they disliked. But I feel like a lot of us, we don't really do character evals on ourselves. We don't really do assessments on ourselves. And I think that it's super important. I still think now, even as a married woman, I date myself. I date myself because I want to know if my love language has changed. You know what I'm saying? What served me 5 months ago may not serve me right now. Right. And so I just kind of want to know, y'all's thought process on or y'all's perspective on what it means to truly date yourself. And this is for anybody that's whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you or you have friends. If you have relationships in general, I think it's important for you to date yourself because I think a lot of times we don't invest in ourselves enough, and we wonder why there's a lot of failed relationships. And not just on a romance level, like I said, on a friendship level. Some of us don't even realize we are not good friends. We are not good spouses. We are not good boyfriends or girlfriends. Yet we are expecting somebody to read the room. And we haven't even read ourselves yet. We don't even know who we are first. So, and I think there's at least, and these are just some of my thoughts, because this is things that I've been just kind of like, noticing and I've kind of observed over the years is that, why are there failed friendships? Why are there failed relationships? I think a lot of times is that we don't invest that time into ourselves. And so it's hard for us to articulate to another person like, hey, this is how I need to be loved. This is how I need to be cared for. You don't even know how you want to be cared for. You don't even know what you desire. You have no idea. But I don't know. I just wanted to know what y'all's perspective was on that.
Vanessa, gonna take the floor, girl.
and Vanessa is the queen of this topic, so.
I spent some time in a self-love moment. We were in a Bible study in a life group, and we were in there, and y'all was professing it. I was like, look, I'm gonna wait on the Lord to bring my man. I'm gonna wait. And I didn't like it. I didn't like saying it. I hated saying it, actually. But it was exactly what I needed. It was like, I spent more time with myself. I started painting. I started inviting my girls over. I started cooking more. I started just paying attention to me. I started growing plants. I had 53 plants, well in living, like 2 dogs. Life was just, I was going to church all the time. I was waking up, listening to messages. I was just loving me. And I found out a lot of things I didn't like about me too. I found out like even the way I talk to people, like how I was speaking to people, different things like that, my red flags. And even now, when you were talking about that, I was like, sheesh, dating, you find out your red flags. You really do. You find out for yourself. And even in friendships, even through that self-love, I feel like when you're taking that time for yourself, you can really evaluate, were you a good friend too? And there were some relationships where I really felt like, oh, I dropped the ball. Like, oh, I wasn't a good friend. Oh, I wasn't giving there. Or I just noticed more when I was giving to me. And I feel like that's the best thing you can do is give to you. And if you can't give to you, you won't even recognize when someone's giving at all. And it's just character traits and things that I feel like I just needed that self-love. And I hear it all the time. I also feel like when we're talking about even like modeling relationships, we don't really even look back at our past relationships, or someone hasn't really taught us. Like, I've taken it upon myself now to ask, hey, I asked the men in my family, okay, what should I be looking for? And it was ironic. Almost all of them gave the same answer. They were like, God. And I was like, oh, sheesh, I don't even know. So I was telling Reese earlier that, my mom would be like, write a list. I done written that list about 5 times. Okay. I'm tired of writing that doggone list. Like, what is it? And I think the list is really biblical. And I just think I don't know those things. So that in my time of self-love has really been just detrimental to my soul to find that out without having to go out there and try this man and try that man and try this friendship and try that. The more I've leaned into God and like loving me is
So would you say just spending that time with you, because you said that you caught some red flags about yourself, you saw some like character flaws or whatever, would you say that it's best that you check it before someone else checks it for you? Or would you say that, because I know I like, they always say, what they say, the saying is stay ready so you don't have to get ready or something like that.
I don't think I would have gotten it at that point. I think there are some things that you can learn just from you telling you, but I think I needed some of those relationships to expose that, because it wasn't loud enough for me. And I feel like you go around in life and you feel like, for me, mine is speaking a lot more dominantly to people, like with a little anger in there, with a little aggression. And it wasn't until people were like, hey, I can't receive that. I can't hear you. I didn't really even notice that. But it had to be from people that I was caring about. Somebody else on the block I didn't care about. But my mama, yeah. My friends, yeah. It just makes a difference when it's kind of in a relationship. Yeah. I do think you can learn some things outside, but without it being those people, I would have never caught it.
It's only so long that you can actually feed yourself.
Iron sharpens iron. You can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. I think I heard it really well the other day, like when iron sharpening iron, sparks fly. And I was like, oh, that means it's going to be some friction. That means you got to have those tough conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And you hit it right on the nail. I think the lack of communication in relationships really kind of breaks down why relationships can't last. And a lot of it is ourselves. Internally, ourselves, you don't know. You know how to, as a child does, cry whenever you get upset with something. Yeah. You don't know how to necessarily speak it back. So you see, when parents are parenting, they're like, hey, what are you trying to say? And that reaction nowadays, when I do that with people, well, what are you trying to say? Rather than it being, okay, I'm mad and I'm pissed. It's just a difference. And I feel like I've been in a season of gentleness and a season of trying to give it back gently. And it's not easy. I have to go breathe. I have to take a step back. Because I want to say everything I want to say at that moment.
Who doesn't?
But when I've stepped back and been like, all right, let me just try to turn the other cheek here. Let me try to give it nice. It's wild how many people are like, oh, like they back down. And I feel like if someone cares about you in any capacity, it's just like an easier thing when you learn to communicate. So it could just be one of you. Just if one of you got it together, even in the arguments, it's just pure bliss. And so I've really felt like even just hearing that from people, hearing that from myself, hearing that from the Lord, oh man, it's just made an impact. It's a real impact.
I love that. I love the fact that, you do recognize that it hurts. So it hurts to spend time with self, and not only just spend time with self and notice it, but when somebody actually comes to you and is like, hey, that's a problem, that's an issue, it's a challenge.
And it's lonely, friend. Don't think you're not gonna feel lonely. I think that's the main thing that people think. We gotta go out here with self-love. Okay, but I'm still lonely. No one's hugging me. No one's holding me at night. I don't got no muscles next to me. Like, yeah, I want that. Like, that's the part that people don't tell you. There's another side to you being here at the house on a Friday night in the tub with your wine. You might be crying with that wine. Like, been there. You know what I'm saying? It's not, self-love is not pretty. It's really not. And I wish we didn't glamorize it so much, because it would kind of help me realize I'm not the only one. I'm not, and I'm okay being in that space. And a lot of the times when you're single and doing your self-love, well, usually you're doing self-love in a single period. It's usually when it's happening. I find when we start adding people in the mix, we lose a lot of self-love. So for me, even in my single stage, I used to hate going places and they'd be like, girl, you gonna find him. Boaz is gonna be there.
Not Boaz.
Keep doing self-love. Keep giving to you. You be like, sis, I bought all the flowers. Like, what? I go every week. They're sitting in the house. Now what? Like, now what? And I feel like that is the epitome that I wish people talked about too. So I would know that self-love is a journey, and I don't think it ends. I don't think it ends. I think it's a
continuous.
Yes. And
different stages.
I feel like, and as you get older, it's some real scary stages. It's not cute stages no more. It's not.
Man, like, I mean, like I said, even as a married woman, like, you have to date yourself. You have to, like, take that time to say, you know what? Okay, I need to do a self eval, and I need to, like, just spend some time with myself, because what was the thing that I feel like we did not connect on? What was the thing that I felt like we can circle back to, that our parking lot in January, that we can talk about in November, you know? Because it's not that, like, people always think, like, because there's a disconnect, that your relationship is on the rocks, whether it be your friend, your spouse, whatever. No, it's just that, like I said earlier, like, what served you then probably doesn't serve you now. So that's why I think that it's important that sometimes spending time alone, like, with yourself, whether it's you taking yourself out to a coffee, or going on a walk, or just like, or writing, you know, spending time with God, however that is, like, I think that's very, very important, because you allow yourself to be a better you for that person, you know. And also I think it enhances the communication as well. I'm one of those people, I will over communicate. I am a over communicator, because I want to make sure that you get me. But when I realize that, I'm like, okay, this person is not getting me, maybe it's the way that I'm communicating. So now I have to come back and be like, okay, Reese, how did you say that? Was it with aggression? Was it with love? Was it gentle? How was it? And were they able to receive that? Because sometimes, you know, what I see as gentle is not gentle to somebody else. And I recognize that. And I know with me, I have a very strong personality. I am very, very direct, and I know what I want. I'm the oldest of three. So, like, I'm like that normally, and it's natural for me. My husband, on the other side, is not a very direct person. He's like, he's chill, and he can get straight to the point as well, but you have to take him somewhere in order for him to get straight to the point, you know? And so for him, it's always about just be gentle. Just be gentle. And for me, I'm like, oh, well, this is how we talk in my house. Like, this is how we were,
unlearn
like, you know what I'm saying? It's unlearning those behaviors. Unlearning those behaviors. And for me, because I love my friends, I love my husband, I love my family, and things like that, I feel like I want to invest more into it, even though it hurts. Because like you said, it's not fun. It's actually not fun trying to take that time out, because you almost feel like you're you're kind of, like, I guess, dimming your light. But I think you're not necessarily dimming your light. It's new. You're dealing with a different personality, and you need to understand that your personality, it will always be there. However, if you really care about someone, you care about that friend, you care about that partner, whomever, you will be willing to work on you to be a better you for that person.